Hello, everyone, and good morning, and welcome to another interview here on Tales from the Wandering Scribe. I'm your host, Gabriel Garcia, otherwise known as the Wandering Quill and the Wandering Scribe, and today I have a very special interview to share with you all. Now, my guest today is a multi award winning creator, illustrator, writer, and art director. His passion for storytelling led him to establish Peda Entertainment, a multimedia servicing company based in Lagos, Nigeria, set out to create and publish African inspired fantasy, sci fi, action, drama, and epic stories. He's been named one of the top three illustrators in Nigeria for his graceful interpretation of the Mlezi characters from his award winning title, The Most Oriented African Story of 2017, and his
Sorry,
comic.
sorry to cut you. I'm lazy.
Mainly,
I'm lazy. I'm
thank
lazy.
you.
Like lazy, like of course it means guardians, but if you want to pronounce it like lazy, like a lazy man, like lazy. That's what lazy. I'm lazy.
Mlezi.
I'm
Thank you.
lazy. Okay,
Mlezi.
yeah.
Thank you. Thank
Yeah, I
you.
know. I know. It's a new word. All right. Yeah.
All right. And the comic featured with these characters has been in both local and international press, including AFROPUNK, Leading Cool, and Naicon. And he's also the creator of the Amazing Tech Kids, a comic book dedicated to teaching kids the powers of their future, which has sold over 50,000 copies. And the comic gained a partnership with Cold Stone Creamery and Maple Leaf Press. He's also produced Under the Sun, a story dedicated to showcase the struggles of people with albinism in Africa, which has won the Glyph 2019 award for Best New Comic and nominated for the Best Nominal Awards in 2019. And with the constant rise of African storytelling in comic and animation, my guest is dedicated to bring only original content to the mainstream. So without further ado, let's give a huge introduction to today's guest, Peter Chizoba Daniel. Peter, thank you so much for coming on the show today.
Well, thank you for having me.
Awesome, awesome. So before we dive into your background, of course, and of course the background of your company, is there anything else you would like to share with our viewers and listeners? Anything else that wasn't mentioned in the introduction?
Yeah. Well, there's a lot has happened since that introduction, but yeah, I think the summation is okay. It's okay, but it's it has happened and a lot is happening every day. Yes.
Awesome. That's really great. And honestly, viewers and listeners, I am so excited to talk with Peter because when I was at LA Comic Con, their booth was there, and I was able to get these two amazing comics, Changa and the Jade Obelisk, and the storytelling and the artwork is simply incredible. And the other stories they have are just phenomenal. And if you can see behind Peter, there's also artwork showcasing the other characters from the different titles of Peda Entertainment. So let's actually dive into that as a little icebreaker. Peter, what can you tell us about Peda Entertainment and sort of how it came about and its overall goal?
Oh yeah. Okay. Well, Peda Entertainment is a company that came into existence due to the very need to tell more uh, African-inspired stories, and of course, representation is very important for everyone. So we decided to build this company to explore uh, the African storytelling space in comics and animation because it hasn't really been done before. It's more of neglected and put in the back of the bus. So we wanted to bring this to light to the world to enjoy. Pertaining to the other question you asked, when did we start? Right? When we
Yes.
well, it's more. It's been a while. It's a long time coming.
Mm.
it first started as an inception right from my teenage years. Uh, as I personally search for African stories, looking for, you know, digging deep into history and pre-colonial history, especially to unearth stories that are not in the mainstream, that are not popular, but they are a very big part of the African people. So
Mm.
for me it was a journey, and I've always loved art, loved comic books, animation, cartoons, stuff like that, and I always felt something was missing. I wasn't seeing any African stories because
Right.
I enjoyed stories from everywhere. Samurai stories. GI Joe. You go to Scandinavian stories. From all over the world. In comics and animation, because I'm a big fan of
Mm.
Marvel and DC, because we grew up with all these things. But I wanted to uh, tell the world a little bit about Africa, and for my research, wow, there's like an ensemble, and how will I put it now? There's a wealth of history that people need to know. So a little about 10 years ago, we decided to start the company and start building it. But of course, our stories take time to build, and
Yes.
we launched the company um, about 2011. Yeah, and
Okay.
we've been grinding ever since. Doing more research, understanding the cultures, traveling to different parts of Africa, learning from the elders, very important, because they are the knowledge keepers to build these fantasy stories.
Awesome. That is incredible. And I actually remember at the booth at LA Comic Con, one of the people there actually showed me a map. It was all the characters from the various countries in Africa and showcasing, where they're from, what culture they represent. And I absolutely love that. I love how these different cultures from Africa are getting showcased, are getting representation. And honestly, it works so well because it's like, there hasn't been like a need for this for like a long time, but now there is. Like, there are so many incredible stories that are coming out, which I absolutely love. So now, Peter, let's dive into you and your person. So, from the introduction, you are a jack of all trades. You are an illustrator, you're an artist, author, you've been doing everything. So, I'm curious, were you always a creative person growing up, or did that come about later in your life?
Oh, you're absolutely correct. I've always been okay. If yes, right from I was a kid, I've always known how to draw. I don't know how I that came to be. You could say it's a talent or it's a blessing from God. I just had artistic skills. I know I could draw. I was drawing since I could remember. Drawing portraits of people around me. I was drawing comic books. Then I had the Marvel and DC, draw Superman, Batman. I loved. I was always drawn to art. Anything artistic. And although at the time I thought it was just that, but as I got older and delved more into my desires of art, I realized that it was multiple things I could. Then that's what helped me work in the art industry, the advertising agency industry for about 10 years. So I've been a
Mm,
creative director. Yes, I have this natural ability to understand um, forms and shapes and angles. So I've done so many video directions, done so many storyboards for movies, for musical videos, so many things creative, worked with so many different advertising agencies. And so for me, I think, yeah, being in that world, trying to and holding on and hugging my desires, I was able to see that I was just beyond drawing. So I could, that's why I was able to work as a creative director. So I could create anything, anything I can think about. Yes, and so yeah, that's what gave me to walk through the spectrum of the industry. So illustrator, then I also studied animation, because animation is
mm.
yeah, it has fundamentals you must follow. But I already knew how to do it. How will I say? I already knew how to animate naturally. You understand? Yeah. So we started from myself designed as a kid, and it grew up into making into a career. You know, because I think it was a time that when the world has evolved to where creative services was very lucrative. So it allowed me to dive in right in. I hope that's
Awesome.
the question, right?
Yes, absolutely, Peter.
Okay.
So now let's actually talk about that moment. So, as you said before, Peter Studios began in 2011, and you guys have been building ever since. So, let's actually talk about the aha moment when you decided that you want to transform your passion of creating into a profitable and successful career. Can you walk us through that moment? Oh, yeah, that's perfectly fine.
Yeah. So yeah, I'll say the aha moment uh, came in my teenage years, because after consuming a lot of video games and comic books, I'll say close to my 20s. I wanted to build an African storytelling company because I see that because anytime I play a game like God of War, or I do things with comics, I say these things are not far from what we can achieve as Africans,
Right.
because we have the culture, we have the histories that no one has seen, and we need to showcase it to the world um, in these forms that people love and we love. And like I said, I always say diversity is the spice of life, because especially I when I the first time I saw what's this particular anime, and that's the first anime I've ever seen, and that was
Really?
yeah, it was called I'm trying to remember the name. Ninja Scroll.
Ah, okay.
It blew my mind because that was purely Japanese culture, and it was a bit different from the American cartoons that I grew up with.
Yes.
So it really opened my eyes that, man, we can actually do this. And so then the journey began to create a story that will be unique and showcase the African stuff. Because if you notice, there's a difference between the anime and the American cartoons, right? There's a
Hmm.
difference. Yeah. And that's one thing why I love anime, because it's basically Japanese culture. So we had to, find a way to bring this African into comic books and animation in its own world, in its own reality that will that everyone would love. So we could say the aha moment came probably in my early 20s. Yeah, and we knew we had to do it.
Awesome. So now let's actually dive into the early years of Peanut Studios. Okay, so walk me through it. Okay, so you now just started the company, you've gotten your team, and you're now crafting what your company is going to be. And you're now starting to get writers to create stories and sell them. So once you guys got your first round of stories that you wanted to sell to market, what were the goals you had, not just for the stories themselves, but also for you guys as a company? And add on to that, what were the promises you were making to your future readers and people who would learn about you through these stories you were producing?
You're asking two questions. I'm trying to bring them together.
Okay,
Yeah.
we'll start with the first one
Okay. The first one was, can you come back again? The first one.
of about, so when you guys first got started and you got your first round of stories and you were going to go to market, what was your guys's promise through the stories, but also you guys as a company?
Okay. Yeah. Basically, our promise has always been the same, for our readers to enjoy stories coming from Africa in its uniqueness, in its totality, in its birth of being
Mhm.
African. You understand? A whole different experience that you will love. That's the promise we offer, because uh, we have so many cultures in the world, so many tribes all over planet Earth,
Right.
and we have enjoyed from different tribes. from all the wealth of their cultures. And but from of course, Africa hasn't really been in that in that platform where other people can get to enjoy things from Africa. And it's high time we started. So this is what we promised to be captivated by the African stories, to enjoy and be filled with imaginations that you've never seen before.
Right. And for the second part of the question, which I think you may have already touched on in the first one, but to add on to it, what would you say is also additional promises to your future readers, especially those who would just learn about you guys through your comics? Obviously, you want to talk about, the various cultures and tribes from the continent of Africa, but at the end of the day, you want to create an engaging story that's going to reel them in and hook them so that way they can be eager for the next one.
Yes, for like I said, like you said, almost for our future readers, yes, we want to let them know that our stories are unique and are well thought out. We work with experienced writers, some of the best writers from the continent, people who are seasoned, and we work with creators all over the world, people who have spent time, and people who are dedicated and are talented in storytelling. So yes, where we uncover these histories and these fables and this folklores and mythologies, that people are not familiar with, and we are bringing it, all the way, with skilled hands. So once you get our books, you're going to have a fun-filled time, and you're going to, be inspired by, and you want more.
Definitely. And just as a reminder, viewers and listeners, I had the opportunity to get these two books, Changa and the Jade Obelisk, and these were amazing. I love the story. It almost gives me the sense of almost like Sinbad the Sailor in terms of like heroes going on a quest for treasure, but there's other parties involved. And I don't want to spoil it too much, but if you want to know my review, check it out towards the end of this video. And sort of going back to what you said, Peter, about working with multiple writers as well as multiple artists, let's actually talk about that aspect of the business side, because when making your own company, it's a very daunting experience, because you're finding your own team, you're finding writers who are going to align with the company's goal. We want to find artists whose style matches the stories, which talking with other comic creators and graphic novelists, they've even said it's a challenge, it's a grind. So ultimately, Peter, once you've gotten your first slate of stories out there to print and into market, what was the initial reaction like from friends and family as well as the public? Were they positive, negative, or somewhere in the middle?
Oh, everyone was positive, because every time we encounter a new customer, they're like, wow, African mythology, they have never heard before. And this is what I was talking about, representation. So everybody is happy and they are very satisfied. We've had calls back, we've had emails sent back, we've had amazing stories, because they've never thought this way about Africa, especially the international scene. But like back in Africa, people were like, whoa, you guys are doing this? I hope the world is ready. I said, no, we have to make the world ready. Nobody's going to
Right.
wait. So now that we're publishing this kind of stories, people are enjoying it. They are being part of it, and they love it. We've had so much positive reviews, and even we've done Kickstarters, successful Kickstarters. We've had over a ton of successful Kickstarters. We've overfunded people. So the reception was really good, and that is actually what motivates us, a lot. And well, we always tell them that there's a whole lot more coming, because we've been working on these stories for over 20 years, building these stories. Yeah, it takes time to write stories and create them. So yeah, because the whole idea is not just to tell a story, is to make a story the best as it can be.
Yes.
That's for that satisfaction, that you enjoyed reading this book or watching this cartoon or stuff like that. So yeah, we've been blessed. People are we've been all our customers are always happy and satisfied.
Awesome. That is great to hear, Peter. And would you say that the overwhelming positive response, in a way, validated your goals in the early years of PS Studios to like help you really get your guys' footing?
Yes, yes. That's our biggest motivation, the people. Because at the beginning, it's not easy, especially when, because you have to do the initial investment to build the
Mm,
brand, to build the company. You got to hire artists. You got to look. It's a very, very, very tough job. I will not lie. At the beginning, you're motivated by passion, and but when you start seeing the fruits of those passion by the appreciation showed by the end user, it takes you as high as the sky. You wanna see all the way to the end.
yes.
Yeah.
Absolutely. And I 100% relate that. Like as an author, you want your stories to succeed. You want to, gravitate towards your audience. But it's a little daunting. It's a little intimidating when you first start out, which then leads to this next question, which I like to call the first reflective question. And I'm sure you and your team will definitely agree, Peter, that starting off on something brand new is both fun and also nerve-wracking and intimidating because it's not just creating just a story, it's
Yeah.
building a company, building a brand, as you said, getting investors to invest in a company, and just really fine-tuning the stories, making sure they're the best they can be, finding the artists, getting them on board, and then publishing these stories, especially now in the digital age where everything is accessible. Again, it's both exciting and intimidating because you don't know if the readers are going to be open-minded to the new types of storytelling, the new content, and you don't
That's
know if it's going
true.
to be well received. And then that voice of imposter syndrome is just
You're very
there
correct.
waiting in the back.
Yeah,
Yeah,
yeah. I
waiting in the
understand what
back
you're
of
saying.
one's mind. hmm
So okay,
So,
finish. Okay.
uh, what I was going to finish with this is that, when you guys started, did you guys ever have those thoughts of anxiety or imposter syndrome? And if not, or if so, what has disciplined you to, keep going to show these stories, or rather share these voices, bring awareness to the different cultures, the different tribes of Africa, and just staying true to your guys' goal?
Yeah. Yes, you're very correct. It is actually I think the word to be scary. It's very
hmm
scary starting something new. Um, but it's new because it's the kind of context African stories. But storytelling is not new. That's the thing. So we must follow
No.
the principles of storytelling. The excitement, the trauma, the drama. Those are the principles to give you a good story. And over the years, we've done our research, we've studied. So, of course, at the beginning, you get the goosebumps, you're scared, especially starting your own company because there was no other company doing it and no one willing to take, or even talking
Mm,
to investors like you're joking, because you already have established companies that have been telling stories of such nature, like
right.
comic and animation. But I always tell people that, like, yes, the comics have been here, but these are African comics. They are different.
Mm,
Yes, yeah, just like you have the manga, it's different from the regular comic book, right? Yeah, they're different.
right.
So, so yeah, what we did was where of course at the beginning, the genius thing we did is to be truthful to ourselves. Know what we wanted to do. It's not just about just let's make comic, let's get artists and draw. Because
Mm,
drawing is fun, drawing is cool, but
yes.
our objective was to tell original stories, deep stories that are rooted, that will always come out, at its best. Because if we're not intentional about it, we'll do something that you probably already seen. You understand? So our main focus was to be original and trust in ourselves, trust in our abilities to create stories that will be engaging, that will give you that sizzle when you were when you read them, give you that, wow, this is a good imagination. So
Right.
yes, we banked our entire how do I put it, our entire fortune on our creative abilities, I would say. Yes, so that we could show them that, okay, we have the skills. Like I said, I did work in the advertising industry for about 10 years, and
Mhm.
storytelling is like a second nature of mine. So, but now we know we want to tell stories to the public, so we want to make it as best as possible. Yes, we did have fears, we had that, but we trusted in our creative abilities, and we knew we had to do it. We had to start. You know, After all, if you go back in time, you see the first Captain America cartoon. It was more motion comic, but now you can see what they're doing now. So we're not scared of making a mistake.
Mhm.
Although the fear was a little bit there, but we said we got to do it, this however we can, but make sure we tell a great story and work with seasoned illustrators, from the continent. Yes.
Absolutely. And also, just to add to that, I think now more than ever, especially in the comic industry, a lot of people are, becoming a little more tired with like the oversaturation of superheroes, because that's all we've been told that is the comic industry. But the comic industry can be used as another media to tell incredible stories. And that's why I love, indie houses, independent companies, because yes, they're also tapping into that niche of superheroes, but they're also telling other stories. They're telling graphic novel type stories, because comics and graphic novels are more than just, as one person said to me, elevated picture books. They are detailed, complex stories and should be treated and respected as such, which now leads into the business side of the interview, which I am very eager to hear your thoughts on, Peter. So let's start with sort of like the first icebreaker. So obviously, Peda Entertainment is an independent studios producing its own content. It has its own YouTube channel, own Instagram, and it's been able to build its brand. But I'm curious, Peter, in the beginning, in its infancy, did you guys want to be an independent company, or did you want to try to be almost like an offshoot of an established company, still able to showcase your work, but be a part of a bigger branch like Vertigo, IDW, and those other comic houses?
Uh, Rather, your question is okay. I do understand what you're saying, but I wanted to interpret it for you. What you said that where we will be published by bigger studios,
Yes.
the companies.
Yes. Yes.
Um, yeah, of course, the thought comes, when you're starting a company. But I personally, I knew that would be far fetched. This is the kind of content we had, so we had to build the company. Yes.
hmm
A point in time reached where we decided, no, we had to become our own company to tell the stories.
Right.
And then again, we understand the industry. It's saturated as well. A lot of people are trying to get in, with the bigger studios, bigger companies, and we don't want to be caught in that train.
Right.
We understand it's not easy to build a company of this nature.
No.
It's not easy. It's not. There's a lot of moving parts. A lot
hmm
of moving parts. Apart from just the comic production, which is a lot of moving parts on its own, and you have the publishing, distribution, and all that. It's a lot of moving parts. Almost uncountable. But we understand that the industry can be very saturated, and we don't want to like spend a lot of time looking for a bigger company to publish us. We want to spend time building. You understand? Because that could go on and on for a long time before you get a
hmm
publishing deal, and there's a lot of competition there. So, but we decided, okay, we have to learn to stand alone. If the publishing deals come, fine. We work with whoever wants to work with us. But the number one goal is to be our own independent company that um, that brings these services to people, this stories, this ideas to the public, and we are trying to keep it original, because we do know most of the time when you sign up to these big companies, they do want to make some changes here and there.
Right.
So yes, so we want to keep it original, and as original as can be, because that is what the public needs. That's what the customers need, that originality. And that's why you love anime, because anime is original source from
Hmm.
the the Japanese animators and storytellers. So
Right.
that's, so we want to make sure we don't get that any form of that issue, or maybe those changes coming by bigger publishers. We want to, showcase that uh, original idea and spark that will make it stand the test of time. So we didn't really go all out looking for this a bigger publisher to take us.
Right.
Yeah, we've met some, we've spoken, but we're not really chasing it. But if it comes, fine. It's something that we welcome. We do business, but we must be a company that's able to take this sources, this African essence directly to the people for them to enjoy.
Absolutely, 100%. And you're absolutely right. Being like an independent creator, independent company, it's not easy. It has its set of challenges, but the risks are worth it when it comes to making something that is new, that's engaging, and that's overall exciting for the reader. And speaking of the reader, this leads to a two-part question. So we'll start with the first one. So just like with authors, independent companies always have to figure out, okay, who's the target audience, who are we marketing towards, and that's a lot of trial and error. It's maybe a hit or miss. So I'm wondering, Peter, for you guys, do you guys have a good understanding of who your audience is? And when did you take into consideration of the audience when you guys were starting your company?
Yes, we did take in we did take in consideration the kind of audience we're looking for. Now, our audience majorly depends on the story we have, or we are working on, because we have different kind of people. People turn to more horror, science fiction. That's how we look at our audience. People love mythology, you understand, and we have loads of African mythology, and they want to learn more new mythologies. That's our target market. We have people that love sci-fi, and we have loads of African science fiction stories, and we do tend to that because they want to see more, because people are looking for something. We humans, we love to be entertained, so we want to know, we want to see something fresh, something new. That's why we go to the movies to watch new movies.
Right.
So we classify it as the genres, the science fiction, horror, mythology, folk tales, fantasy. So our basically our audience is everybody, but not in these categories, right? If you want fantasy stories, we have amazing African fantasy stories to add to your collection. If you love sci-fi stories, we have amazing sci-fi stories to add to your collection. Because stories are not a monolith; they're not straight line. They come from different perspectives, different cultures, different people. So, in order to enjoy, like I said, diversity is the spice of life. So, the more you see more visions from other tribes and other people, the more you enjoy the genres you have. Like if you notice the sci-fi from I'll say the American, and you can notice the sci-fi from anime. It's a lot of there's a uniqueness to both,
Right.
and both beautiful. So that's what we do. So we look at as our audience as the genres. If you love children's stories, we have amazing children's stories. If you're a horror lover, or we're working on some awesome horror stories, that will just spark up your what you love so much about this genre. And you have people that love stories generally. Just tell a great story, and that's the beautiful thing about comic books. And I understand why a lot of comic books are kind of underrated, because over a period of time, it has been mostly superheroes and a lot of others see it as childish, but they're not really fully in the out of the ignorance, knowing that comic books, you could tell any story through graphic novels and comic books, any kind of story, mature story, adult stories, horror, sci-fi. So that brings us back now to looking for those audience through our comic books that we sell. We know that some people cut across the spectrum from sci-fi to horror, and now some people just I just love love stories. You know, we do have African love stories. You understand, to add to your collection. So that's how we see the audience.
Awesome. And as the second part to that question, which you probably touched on this before, within the audience, you want to find obviously the readership who are actually going to pick up the stories, because you can target to whoever audience you want. But at the end of the day, it's the individual readers who are going to pick up and read the stories and give reviews and share it with friends and family. So for you, Peter, would you say your readership is very, very broad, where you have stories for readers who like, more like the young adult, and then you have readers who enjoy, the new adult stories? And has that been a challenge? Did you want to only focus on one readership over the other?
No, like the idea is to reach all the entire spectrum of audience. From the young adult to the to the little kid to the older ones.
Mm.
Yes, like for every genre we have an African version of it. Like if you have you have epic stories. Like one of our most popular titles, that's her right there, Chayoma. She's behind. Yeah, she's
Yes.
epic fantasy, and I noticed, and that's our highest grossing, highest selling book, and
Really?
yeah, we sold over 100,000 copies, and people love it. Yes, because epic fantasy kind of cuts across everyone. People that love sci-fi, they still want to enjoy, because the epic scene, the fight, the battles, the watching people from the past, brutalize each other is fun. That's how we all love Games of Thrones. So yeah,
Yes.
so that shows that that the I've lost my train of thought just for a second there. Um, yeah,
You
come back
were
to the last part of the
you
question
were talking
again.
about like readership, how you didn't want to focus on one
Yes,
readership
yes,
or the
yes.
other. You want to
Yeah,
hit all of
correct.
them.
Thank you so much for bringing me back. Yes, yes. We didn't want to focus on one particular genre of story. We wanted to cut across, the horror, sci-fi, mythology, comedy, love stories, just aspects of life that come from Africa, based on African culture, history, mythologies, and even life. So like just the way I would love to watch I'll say, is it should you call it detective movie or what? What do you
Like
call that genre? Um,
noir.
okay, something like Sherlock Holmes now.
Yes.
I love that. And you have something of that same nature coming from maybe Germany,
Mm.
and I love that because I remember when I was a kid, there was this one I used to watch called Bergerac. It was a German detective. He was super powerful,
Ah, okay.
and I loved it. You see, but it's still similar to Sherlock Holmes. Like he was a detective in United Kingdom. So you see, but they're from different cultures, even different timelines. But I enjoyed the fact that it was a detective, crime solving story kind of series. So that's what we push forward. We didn't want to restrict it to just epic fantasy, to different stories, different kind of stories. You understand?
Absolutely. And now the next question, which I'm going to hear your thoughts on, which I think you've already touched on before, but maybe you can go in depth on this one, which is one that originally I had, which was called, who are your inspirations for like authors, creators, and like showcasing your voice. But I had a guest on the show earlier this month, or I should say earlier this year, who flipped the question on its head, who pretty much said, I can tell you all about the stories that I grew up with, but at the end of the day, it's my voice that the readers are going to discover. So tell me, Peter, what was sort of like that balancing act where, yes, you want to be original, you want to showcase not just your voice as a company and also the voice of your authors, but you also wanted to show the inspiration from other stories that you guys have grown up with to where you can make that connection and that balance.
Okay. Yes, I think. Yeah, I think I get what you're saying. You know, so how we really- how we bring our stories to people who we want or potential customers
Yes, yes,
to value our stories. How do I put it? To in respect of what they have enjoyed. Am I correct?
yes, that is correct.
So basically, it's simple. Like Chayuma is epic fantasy. So we remind you, you've seen stuff like maybe Games of Thrones, Lord of the
Hmm.
Rings. Yeah, it's kind of like that, because you have rootless politics in the story. You have monsters in the story. You have
Mm.
creatures in the story. You have realms. So that gives you, that excitement that, the same thrills you got from this story, you will get it and even more because it's a new story that you've never heard before. So that's the concept. That's how we relate the world. Like you could say, okay, like we have a new title coming up called Jinjiri.
Hmm.
You could say it's kind of like Avatar, not Avatar the aliens, the Avatar the Airbender,
Ah,
right?
Last
But
Airbender.
now it's the darker form of Avatar. Meanings like Avatar, because you have a young boy who is destined to be the god of judgment, right? Unlike Avatar, who is the Airbender, right? Who has the master of all the elements. Now, in this story, it's the similarities. They're both boys, but this story is darker. He's way darker than meaning that the boy is not. He doesn't have mercy for no one. Or like Avatar is more cool, nice, good boy.
Right.
But no. He is not playing. If you mess with him, he's off your head. Something like that. So
Right.
yeah. So the readers and you can relate to these stories because they kind of give you that similar spectrum, but there's a major difference because it's culturally different.
Hmm.
But it gives you that same. Yeah. So this is how we, bring that closure so that people can relate to what we are coming from and what we're offering and what we bring to the table.
Absolutely. And that kind of leads now into a very big question, which I love having on the show. And I'm eager to hear your thoughts on this, Peter. So I'll give a little context for this to help you with this. So I've been doing podcasting now for now going on 6 years. I've interviewed so many different authors from different backgrounds, from different walks of life, from different stages of their journey, as well as comic writers, heads of their own comic studios. I've learned so much from them, as well as other people as well. And I've come to realize that, as creators, there's two roads for all of us, which is to be something and to be known as something. To be something is dedicated to the art of storytelling, art of creating, and not being motivated by money, but it's nice to get a little bit now and then. To be known as something, be it a comic artist, illustrator, author, animator, whatever, that is you going out there in the world, showcasing your talent, going on every platform in social media to really get your name across and to build your brand. Now, each road has its own set of obstacles, and no one is better than the other. But I definitely believe, especially for first time creators who want to jumpstart their career, the second road to be known as something is the most enticing, but it leads to a lot of unrealistic goals and expectations. And I've talked to a lot of people on this question, which is that, again, unrealistic expectations, but your muse, your passion for whatever you're doing is going to die out because if you're making it into a job and you don't really know the proper mindset, it's going to reflect in your work. Your audience is going to know you're not being 100% true. You may be joining cliques or trend or trying to follow those, and it's not very successful. And ultimately, imposter syndrome comes back. And this ultimately kind of ties into what I like to call, well, this big statement, which is in the industry, whether it's comic, animation, illustration, publishing, whatever, there's no guarantee your first anything is going to guarantee your legacy. There are exceptions, of course, in everything. Some people may be more successful than others, and all power to them. That is not an easy thing to do. But generally speaking, you have this roller coaster of highs and lows. So,
Mm-hmm.
Peter, I would like to hear your thoughts on this, and your what are your overall thoughts on this statement that there is no guarantee in the industry, whether it's animation, comics, publishing, whatever, that your first thing is going to guarantee your legacy or the start of your legacy, but it shouldn't deter you if you're truly passionate about being a great storyteller, animator, illustrator, whatever.
Hmm. When you say there's no guarantee, you meaning there's no guarantee in success? Or I know success is
Um, I could say there's no like overnight guarantee that your first
oh okay.
anything is going to
Oh
give you
true.
the
That
instant
is
stuff.
very true. Typical example that we all know. What's this company that did this? Is it Angry Birds? That was their 10th game.
Yes.
No one knew them before then until they hit it. So it's about consistency, trying, tenacity, grinding, and of course your passion has is the 100% of it, because and you have to be a kind of person. You have to understand that patience is key, and you must love
Hmm.
and have partners and people that see your vision and will be part of it. Yes, there's no guarantee that your first book or whatever you're working on could be the hit. But if you know in your heart that you really, really want to do this and you want to be of service, a lot of people just want to, oh, I have this character, I want people to love it. No, is it what are you sure people will enjoy it? It's not because it's your personal choice. You understand what I'm saying? I learned
Yeah.
this in my years in the ad agency industry. That's how we're able to create amazing adverts and work with so many different brands, and we're able to create compelling marketing tools that helped my clients. And so you have to understand: are you doing this for yourself? Yes,
Right.
yeah. Because if you're doing it, like if you want to make a product, you have to be of service to people. So that's how you get a better chance of reaching your destination. Yes, because a lot of people, I could say some or not, but some people do create stuff that they enjoy, that they reward. But how are you sure that this will fulfill the same feeling for the next person? So I think if you focus more on that, and you see the expression and you see people are loving it, just a matter of time. And of course, in our nature of business, we're into storytelling, so we cannot focus on one story. The idea is to keep getting the stories out and put it out the platform we that we're able to be at. And like for our comic books speak for themselves. They sell
Hmm.
themselves. Actually, they do sell themselves. Yeah, because we make sure the art is good, very well done, very inspiring. We have a very experienced um, artists and colorists, that will bring out the best for you to enjoy, for your viewing pleasure. So all this plays into it. Of course, your first story or your first product might not really want to take you, but I believe is once you're true to yourself, that you want to be of service, you want to create stuff that people will enjoy, be fascinated about. I don't think you will not stay too long in the in the waiting game. But then again, every day that you work on your craft is a success. It's a success. That's how I see
Hmm.
it. You're able to wake up every day and build something and take it out there, and one person loves it. That is success to me. And you replicate that. Look for people like that. That's just how I see it. So yes, you are right. The first one might not be the one to get you the big bang, but consistency, continuity, and being true to yourself will definitely get you there.
Absolutely, 100%. And I know that very, very well, personally. Like my first book I published around 2020. I was still in graduate school at the time, and I published another book since then. It did good, but my third book, which is called Michael, the Last Angel of Earth, that has been the one that have been really gaining traction, and people have enjoyed it. And I'm still gonna be writing, regardless of the financial outcome, because I love crafting stories. I love, as you say, being of service of people who are interested in
Correct.
good storytelling, who love new adventures, new characters, and so forth. And almost again to add to that, which is, grit transforms into talent, because just as you said with the Angry Birds, it may be your 7th, 10th, or 20th project that
Yeah.
may get your name out there. And when that happens, look at that. You now have new fan base, but you also have your old fan base that has
Yes.
been with you, and
Yes.
now you can
Yes.
grow even more.
I later on realized the worth and the value of building. It's the most awesome time
Hmm.
because when you're there now, oh, I'm arrival, I'm this and that. But the journey was the whole success.
Yes.
But then, yeah, because that's the journey to that mountain. To the it was a success because you were able to every day wake up, plan, keep learning, make a mistake, correct, keep doing. That is the story. Not even
Yes.
the end. The end over. Oh, he built a mansion in space. On the moon. He's driving a how do I put it, a light speed vehicle now.
Right.
But before that happened, what was the story? That is actually the success, and that's why people like to watch biography stories about people. They want to see how that happened, not just the final arrival. So the journey is the joy and the success. That's how I see it.
Absolutely. And we're now nearing the end of this amazing interview, Peter. But before we end, there are two final questions I want to ask you, and I'm going to combine them together. So the first part is almost like it's a fun one, which is, looking back on, the success of PETA Entertainment, the various comics that you and your company have showcased and produced. Are there any people you would like to give a personal shout out to who have helped you personally and also the company, thrive and grow?
There's a lot of people.
There always is.
Of course, my entire team. I'm blessed to have them. They've been very supportive. They've been all in the vision. My team, we've been all working together, and they've actually motivate me as well. Of course, my wife. Without her, I'll be lost. Yes. My family. There's a lot of people to shout out. There's a lot of people. Yeah. So that's a. I've not had that question in a long time. So it brings
Ye-
memories. Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah.
it's very
My team, my wife, my family, they've been very supportive, and it's a lot of people. Yeah, I will stop at that. Yeah.
no problem, no problem. And as the final question, Peter, here it is. So everything you have learned as not just as animator, illustrator, writer, but also as a businessman, working with a team, building a brand. What is your word of wisdom to other people in those respective industries, or maybe outside, who want to get a head start and create something of their own?
Hmm. First of all, I'll say remove capitalism from your mind. If you want to build a great team, work with people, and give them a fair share of the table. They will work better. That is one of my first advice because in my company, everyone has a cut. Everybody, you know, um, tend to be of service, not service to people. It opens up, it kills myopic reasoning. It
Mm,
opens, yeah, because when you want to be of service, you see more, and that's what I would say. And yeah, do it. Go ahead. Life is one, so do it. No matter what, just do it. We're all on a piece of this planet. Just do it. Don't look back. Do it all the way. Yeah, we need you. We need to hear from you to feel your own vision of your universe in our universe. Yes, this are the. I could go on. Or I could go on and on. Those are just for now. Yeah, there's a lot. Yeah, just do it. Be true to yourself, be real, make sure that's why I say be of service so that you can give us your best. You understand? Yes.
Absolutely, 100%. And with that, viewers and listeners, we conclude this amazing interview here on Tales from the Wandering Scribe. I want to give a huge thank you to Peter for coming on the show, telling us
Thank
all
you for having
about
me.
Peda
Thank you for having me.
Entertainment. Thank you. Thank you very much, Peter. Now, before we officially end, where can people find you guys on social media? And do you have any announcements you'd like to make? Any titles that are coming out next
Oh,
year? Any
okay.
events coming?
Yeah, okay. You can find us at our website is pedaentertainment.com. To the rest of all our social medias, Instagram, TikTok, Peda Entertainment. Instagram is Peda Comics, because that's our oldest account. Because then it
Mm.
was comics until we decided to we could expand it to animation, because we are building our own animation company.
Ooh.
We'll be able to create. Well, we've actually started. We're going to make an announcement very soon, and of course, we'll have more titles coming. By the end of this year, like by this time, we're about to load 4 new titles, and next year we have 10 new titles coming. Yes, from different genres, for people to enjoy. Where animation too is coming as well. So this is some of the things that are on the way. Uh, Obviously, 100% done by us. We built a team, and we are building our own very own TV show. Yeah, um, TikTok, Instagram, Facebook, Peda Entertainment, Peda Comics. Yes, so you can find us through our website. And yes, we're launching very soon. We're launching a new website that can make it easy to acquire our books, all our books, and we will deliver directly to you.
Awesome. Any other events you guys are going to be showcasing? Any conventions?
Oh, throughout the year, we're everywhere. We're in New York, we're in Atlanta, we're and all the way in Los Angeles where we met.
Mm-hmm.
We're everywhere. The same thing. We touched all the cons again throughout the year, and we'll have more cons coming up as well. Yeah, cons are one of the most amazing platforms. Because you get to meet people, and you then if you're doing if your stuff is good, because you have a one-on-one confrontation with your customers.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, so we're definitely hitting the cons again and around another 365 days of the year.
Awesome. I will link all that down below in the description of this video. And also, just as one final reminder, make sure to check out my review of Changa and the Jade Obelisk. I will attach it here at the end of this video. This is an incredible series, and I cannot wait to see where it goes from here.
Oh, Changa,
And
Changa. Okay, just one last note. Changa is actually created by Milton Davis. He's also
ooh, okay.
an associate of the company. Created with Jason Reeves. So they've done an amazing work creating the story, and the writer Robert, I can't remember his full name, but they did an amazing job on that story, and that's why we partnered with them, to push the story forward to people. Yeah, it's actually created by MV Media and 123 Arts. Yes, owned by
Okay.
Jason Reeves, Milton Davis, and written by Robert Jeffries. Yes, Robert Jeffries. So they did an amazing work, and we're very proud to push the product as part of our list of best African stories out there.
Nice. I'll make sure to include them at the bottom of the description
Yes,
so you guys can go
yes,
and
yes.
check them out. And yes, everyone, thank you again for joining us for another episode here on Tales from the Wandering Scribe. Again, a huge thank you to Peter for coming on the show. Peter, thank you again so very much. I greatly appreciate it, and I wish you and your company all the best going forward into the new year.
Thank you so much. I really appreciate that, and thank you for having me. I love your interview. It was very engaging, and I really appreciate it. Thank you so much.
You're welcome, Peter. And as always, viewers and listeners, like, comment, and subscribe. And I will see you all in the next episode coming soon. So, this is the Wandering Scribe and the Wandering Quill signing out, wishing you all a wonderful morning, afternoon, evening, wherever you are in the world.